We are back at Brainerd International Raceway. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, there's work being done on the drag strip. Lots of action here on the grounds of Brainerd International Raceway. You see all of the cars out in the parking lot. Fans have come out in droves to watch all of the qualifying action here this morning, as well as the racing that will unfold later on this afternoon. We're down on the pit lane right now. It is time for Mission King of the Baggers. You see Troy Herfoss ready to go this morning. And Roger, we looked at practice and we looked at qualifying yesterday, and Troy certainly did not have the day that he was looking for.
No, a day he'd like to forget, with 2 crashes each session yesterday. He finding himself down below where he wants to start the race and just missing out on track time.
Yeah, he's missing out on track time because it's his first time here. Let's take a look at the action that unfolded last year. This is race number 1.
Yeah, Bobby Fong there with a great start, but it's Tyler O'Hara with a really good start as well. Kyle Wyman always so strong here early on into these races, and you can see these baggers, how fast they are through these tight chicanes. Hayden Gillum, James Spoley also right there early on the Vance and Hines Harleys. You see Kyle there on the orange Harley, kind of got going, took him a couple laps to get things going. Tyler O'Hara, Hayden Gillum, you see Bobby Fong there, James Spoley. All these guys just so close as this race went on. Tyler O'Hara seen himself at the front, but Hayden Gillum able to make a move because Tyler O'Hara, something went on with his bike, ran off the track. Unfortunately for him, he left Hayden Gillum out there. Bobby Fong as well. Bobby was having a couple issues as that race was going on, and Hayden was just consistently able to put the laps in, and Bobby was right there. Hayden never made a mistake. This is a track where he is so good at last year, and he's carrying over that momentum so far this weekend in all the classes he's in with some track records.
After that race unfolded, we had 2 races here last year as well. But let's take a look at the point standings as they are right now. You see Troy Herfoss, who we saw in pit lane. He is leading Kyle Wyman by just 9 points. The 2 of those riders, the only ones who have been able to win so far this season, which is why you've got that big gap down to Tyler O'Hara in 3rd.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the other guys like Hayden Gillum, James Spoley is getting closer to those top 2 guys, even though they got a big gap in points. But it's just going to go down to the wire between Troy and Kyle. I think it's going to go down to last lap, last race to see who's the champ.
So with issues during both practice and qualifying session number 1 yesterday for Troy Herfoss, that team having to rebuild that Indian motorcycle twice yesterday and overnight last night. For Troy Herfoss, this is a big session.
This is big, and not only to move up the grid, but just to get his confidence back. He crashed yesterday morning, crashed in the afternoon in the same corner. So for him, just got to get that confidence and get ready to get some laps in. And he's doing the Superbike race as well, so that's going to help him get some laps and kind of learn this track. But that's different than being on the bagger.
In this session, not as long as some of the other qualifying sessions we've already seen this morning. It's only 15 minutes of track time for Mission King of the Baggers, Troy Herfoss, after Q1. The time that he was able to put down before going over, it was in lap number 3. It has him starting down in the 6th position right now at the back end of that 2nd row. See Max Flinders there. He had a great podium result earlier on this season back at Road Atlanta. You see Rocco Landers in the number 97. He had a strong day yesterday. He was quick early on and finished out 4th after that first session of qualifying.
Yeah, and talking to Rocco last night, just just seeing how much more comfortable he looks like on the bagger now, and he says he's kind of figured it out, where he's having fun and he kind of knows where the limit is, and he's able to push it like right there, just sliding the bike, having fun. He knows he's in a great spot right now, and a track that he loves, and he's been getting quicker on the bagger. There's just been a couple things here and there before a race or toward the end of qualifying that he hasn't able to really show it. But for Rocco, just a strong weekend, and looks good. It's going to be interesting to see. We know how strong he is at this track, and see what he can do in the bagger.
You saw Terry Vance there. You saw his team on the left-hand side of your screen. It's the teammate to Hayden Gillum, who's on that number 1, the Vance and Hines Harley Davidson. And Hayden led qualifying yesterday, so for Rocco to have all of that data to be able to go back at each night to compare is a good way for him to be able to continue improving.
It's huge, and he's also right behind Hayden on the racetrack as well, so he gets to kind of follow the fastest guy and just see what he's doing different and try to try to close that gap and having a teammate where you can look at his notes and ask questions, and that's huge for a young guy like Rocco, because he's new to the class, and not only new to the class, but he's still so young.
If you're watching any of our qualifying coverage from yesterday, you'll notice that the track looks very different without the sun being on it all morning. The clouds have continued to stay in the area throughout all of our morning qualifying sessions, and that's really dropped the temperature down. Yesterday we were up into the 80s with blue skies and sunshine. Today, Roger, we've been down in the 70s with clouds, and we've seen these times fall as a result in each of the qualifying sessions so far.
Yeah, you've seen a little mistake there by Rocco. That bump really upset the bike. But track conditions with the sun, it was really hot yesterday. The sun was out. It was strong. Everybody was talking about struggling with grip a little bit, and this morning so far, every session has been quite a bit quicker than yesterday. Not only the guys on pole, but you're talking about all the way down the field. We've seen Hayden break the track record yesterday. We'll see if he can lower it again in this second qualifier.
Yeah, his time yesterday was a 1:34.7 for Hayden Gillum. As you now see Tyler O'Hara there on the number 29, that Indian motorcycle, looking at timing and scoring right now. He went red in the first sector, personal best in sector number 2, so I'd expect some improvement here on that 1:35.3 that he was able to do after the third lap. He's now working lap number 4 and continuing to find some pace. This is a quick session. We set it under 10 minutes remaining on the clock already. It goes by so fast.
So quick, and what a good lap for Tyler. And this is a track that he's strong at as well. We've seen the race highlights, the lead he had before he had the mechanical last year. So for Tyler, he was kind of quick yesterday. And it just seems like, you know, he's coming out of the gate this weekend and been really strong and consistently toward the top.
See Hayden Gillum there on pit lane talking with the team. Looked like he was signaling there's potentially something he's looking for at the front end, Roger?
Yeah, I think with just the bumps, a lot of guys are talking about the front end. And Hayden's he's kind of in a tricky spot. You want to improve and get better, but you have such good pace, you don't want to go too far the wrong way.
Speaking of improving and getting better, this is Kyle Wyman on that number 33 from the factory Harley team. He's been able to improve so far this morning. A 1:35.1 was the time that he did on his last lap by yesterday. In the first session of qualifying, it was a 1:35.3. So he's been able to find a couple of tenths overnight and be able to also just move himself up into the running order. Right now, he's sitting right behind Hayden Gillum, only 0.07 of a second off in terms of lap time for this particular session. For him, as a rider who's not too fond of this racetrack, it's going to be he's going to need this.
Yeah, and it's just a good session, and Kyle has himself right up in the fight, and I think that's where he wants to be. Troy Herfoss also is having a really good bounce back session there in fourth, but just about a tenth off the guy that he's chasing for the title. Kyle is smart. You know, when he comes to a track where he's not the strongest at, he'll just come here and get these points and just be there in the session and the races. Always toward the end of the race, Kyle will be there.
We talk a lot about, in the other categories, just the maturity that it takes to be able to be patient and settle in and realize what you have is what you have. And for Kyle Wyman, that's certainly what you see. He knows when he has it and he knows when he doesn't, and he's okay to take the bad results when the win's not there for him, as he just improved to a 1:35.1 for Kyle Wyman, so now 0.06 of a second behind Hayden Gillum. And what he was able to do is Hayden continues to sit on pit lane with his team.
And we talk about riders consistency. Kyle's out there just backing up those laps, not doing one, and you know, so when the race comes, he knows he's able to do these laps, and you know, trying to get as many laps as possible at a track that you're not comfortable at, just trying to figure out and find that, try to get more comfortable the best way possible. And it looks like this morning so far he's looking the best that we've seen. You
see James Rispoli there on the number 43. Also part of the factory Harley-Davidson team. He is Kyle Wyman's teammate for this season, making that move over. And you know, Harley, the factory, called him and said, hey, you want to join our program? And he said, yes, absolutely. So he went ahead and moved over from Vance and Hines, and now he's been able to find some pace, and he's right there with his teammate.
Yeah, and he's kind of struggled a little bit early on in the year, and now it looks like this weekend they've really started. You know, James works hard, and he's trying to close that gap. His teammates winning races, and he's starting to figure out, even though you switch from one Harley to the next, each team's got different components that you have to get used to, and they have their own direction where they think is the best way to go. And for James, he's had to figure this bike out. And we talk about guys with teammates. He has a great teammate in Kyle as well to help him try to get up to speed and able to learn from Kyle, and he's having a really good weekend so far.
Yeah, when this class started, these guys were actually riding bikes that were bagger bikes. They were from the dealerships, and now the way that this class has evolved and all of the development that's happened, these are purpose-built race bikes at this point in time, and they really needed to get the bike into a configuration that worked for James.
Yeah, Tyler O'Hara, top of the board, 35.0, almost exactly the same lap time that he did yesterday. You go all the way down to Troy Herfoss, 5th place. Everybody is under 3/10. That's incredible to have 6 guys that close.
See, a bunch of the riders are on pit lane right now as the time continues to tick away for this session. Tyler O'Hara, though, taking full advantage of all of it as he's at the top of the time board right now. We have under 6 minutes remaining before we'll get reset for the Mission King of the Baggers Challenge. It's an extra 2 laps that the top 6 riders will get to go out there and battle for a $5,000 check from Mission Foods. This Kyle Wyman you see on pit lane right now. Looks like he's going to get a new rear.
Looks like they just put the tire warmer back on. So he just came in, and maybe, the challenge race is coming up pretty soon. So maybe he feels pretty good with what he has, or they want to make some changes. But when they come in, they put those tire warmers on right away to try to keep that heat in him in case he does go back out. It won't take as long to get the tire temp up.
When you see the bike sitting on pit lane, you can really see how big these bikes are. It's incredible what the riders are able to do with them at this point. To be able to come here and do 34s at Brainerd is just incredible, especially when you see the bike, you see how big it is, how heavy it is. Watching them go through the chicane here and the long right-hander turn 8, it's just amazing. I honestly don't know, when you see the bikes and then you go out there and watch what they do, it just doesn't seem possible. You see out on turn 2, there's a little bit of debris that's out there on the racetrack. As Tyler O'Hara slows down just a little bit, we still have several of the riders that are down on pit lane right now. Again, the top 6 will be able to compete in the challenge race, that race where you get 2 extra laps, but it's also going for $5,000.
He goes quick. See Tyler here trying to get a run out of that last corner. You can see getting the power down. Just not letting off the throttle, going to go over the curb a little bit, and just the way they ride it at the absolute limit.
And Tyler's been a part of this category since its inception, so he's been able to see these bikes as they develop and really be one of the key players in developing the motorcycle. We actually talked to him back at MotoAmerica, and in between the races, he and the team had gone to Mid-Ohio, and he actually said he rode 5 different bikes. As we now see, Max Flinders has gone over. He tries to get this bike picked back up, and they're heavy, Roger, so it's not easy.
Max is going to have to, there he goes. He's been working out. At least it looks like not too hard of a crash.
No, it did look like there was something laying on the ground there, though. Some
filter, I believe. Some parts.
Yep, some parts he's going to have to carry back. There you go. Just put it right up there. Plenty of room. Get it back to pit lane. As see him shake his head. Certainly not the way you want to end your final qualifying session. So next time that bike will go out for the racetrack, it will be for the sighting lap to go racing.
Right by pit entry, that long right-hander in turn 8. So at least he's close enough and going to be able to get it in.
And he doesn't have a long distance to go. Team's going to have to get to work, though, and this is one of those programs that doesn't run with as many crew members as some of the larger programs that we see, and they all work really hard, and they all do everything that they can to be able to stay out there and make it out for all of the sessions. So they'll have some time. As you see, Troy Herfoss still out at the racetrack, currently being shown down in 5th. But the big thing for Troy is he is finally getting a full session. Yeah, getting the full session, and even though he's down in 5th, he's got himself in the hunt. He's just as quick as all the other guys, and Hayden Gillum's out there as well on a really good lap. Yesterday, Hayden was able to get into the 34s and just hasn't found that speed yet this morning, but this could be the lap. You see, he went his personal best in Sector 2. He went red, meaning best overall in Sector number 3 as he now comes around to finish out this lap. 1:34.7 for Hayden Gillim, moving him right back up to the front of the time charts. And not only that, but it is quicker than the time that he posted in the first qualifying session, only by 0.03 of a second, but it is an improvement nonetheless, and it moves him back up into pole position.
Yeah, and we see him in, with a little bit of time left. Looks like he was working on the front end of that Vincent Hines Harley, and it looks like the crew, whatever they did, kind of got it figured out. We see Troy Herfoss also on his personal best lap as well.
Yeah, he went yellow in the first 2 sectors of the racetrack, and we see this a lot from Troy throughout the season as he's learning all of these tracks for the first time. It usually doesn't come at the end of the second qualifying session. He just gets it a little off there, but
that was a big save.
He does wait to the end of the session before he really pushes it.
Just seems like he slowly works his way up to it and just works and gets things sorted out, and then toward the end of the session he always finds himself there. You can see he was under the best time, but he lost a little bit trying to get a good run out of that chicane. That was a really big save there.
Even with that, he still went his personal best through every sector at the racetrack, improving to a 1:34.883 for Troy Herfoss, putting himself up into the front row. Only 2 riders now in the 1:34 mark. It's Hayden Gillim, our pole sitter, and then Troy Herfoss there on that last lap.
Hayden's on another good lap. Close. If he does a really good last sector, if he doesn't get held up, he might be able to barely improve his time.
James Rispoli was there on the racetrack right in front of him for Hayden Gillim. It was a 1:34.8 that last lap. So I mentioned only 2 riders have been able to do 1:34s, Roger, but Hayden's been able to do them back to back.
Oh, did you see that? You have got to back that replay there in turn 2 where Hayden Gillim just lost the front end. Wide open, 6th gear on a Harley, and the smoke coming off the front tire.
Here it comes. They did it for you, Raj.
Watch. This is wide open. Watch the front tire. Incredible save. That would have been a rough one.
He was able to hold on to it though. So we stay with Hayden Gillim. You see at the top of your screen that the clock has expired here for this second qualifying session. Troy Herfoss still pushing hard though on this last lap as he makes his run down to the checkered flag. There's no improvement for Troy, but it is another solid as a 1:35.1 for Troy on that last lap. You see Kyle Wyman still out there finishing out this session. He's not showing any improvement in any of the sectors either, but you can see how hard they're still working, Roger.
And I think for Troy, he's got to be really happy with that session there. After the day he had yesterday, knowing he's able to go out and be able to do those laps. He was off yesterday, and it's going to be a big relief for him.
And Rocco Landers now takes the checkered flag as well. He is inside of the top 6 after this second qualifying session. It was a 1:35.4 that he did yesterday in qualifying, a 1:36.0 that he did in the second qualifying session. So no improvement overall in lap time for Rocco Landers, but he's inside of the top 6. And if you remember the last couple of races, he's missed the opportunity for the challenge, and he was not happy about it.
Yeah, and this gives him a good opportunity to get out there and get with Hayden Gillim and Troy and Tyler, Kyle, and those guys, James, and just get out there and race with them.
You see Hayden Gillim there on pit lane getting ready now for the challenge, maybe letting his heart rate fall just a little bit after that moment he had. Let's take another look at it, Roger.
I mean, just incredible. You see him come through here, the bumps. You'll see the bumps kind of move a little bit, the front end, and then the front tucks right there. I mean, he is basically down at that point. No idea how Hayden Gillim saved that wide open on those Harleys, man. That's just so fast.
You can see a different look on his face. It's not nearly as relaxed as what we saw him earlier, but nonetheless, the combined results after 2 sessions of qualifying for Mission King of the Baggers, our pole sitter for racing that will start this afternoon. Hayden Gillim leading the way. Troy Herfoss finally able to complete a qualifying session, able to start on the front row alongside of his teammate Tyler O'Hara, who will line up in 3rd. Then we have Kyle Wyman, his teammate James Rispoli right alongside him, and Rocco Landers rounding out the front 2 rows with Jake Lewis, Max Flinders, and Corey West behind, finishing out the field. Third member of our broadcast team, Joe Ankier. Joe?
I'm with Hayden Gillum, who has done it again, and an even faster time than we saw from you yesterday. So pole position it is. Tell me through how that one felt, how it unfolded for you.
Yeah, it was good. We threw some stuff at the bike last night to try and get a little bit more out of it, and went the wrong way. So we've had to come in mid-session, make half the change back to kind of what we could do just to get a lap time, and yeah, I ended up having a little bit of a moment there on my final lap and kind of called it off after doing a pretty good lap time. And I was hoping we could go a little bit quicker than yesterday, but you know, these guys are working their butts off, and we got a pretty good bike for the race, so I don't know, we'll see how it goes.
You mentioned that moment that you had to pick up from. Talk us through that big save halfway through the session. What went on there?
I don't know. I did it once last year on the 1,000, and it's just such a fast corner, and I used just a touch of brake right there, and it was I probably just grabbed a little bit too much and folded the front a little bit. So that's not the place you want to do that. So it's yeah, it was just a little bit my fault. I was pushing a little bit too hard, trying to get a little too much out of the bike, and yeah, fortunately we stayed up. That one would have hurt.
Okay, lovely stuff. Well, we'll see you up shortly for the challenge. Best of luck. Well, let's see who we can find over here. Troy Herfoss also did very well, finally, in that race this weekend. We're going to go and have a look and see if we can locate Troy. Seeing if we can pass here. Okay, well, we found Kyle Wyman here. Let's see if Kyle will give us a quick word. Kyle, James into the challenge as well. How did that one go for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we found some time in that one, and you know, the boys are working hard. Like, this has been our best weekend so far. We got a lot of confidence, but yeah, we weren't able to extract that last little bit to get in the fours there, but as you can see, it's super tight at the front. And Brainerd usually is a race of you know, longevity with the tires, especially on these big bikes. So we've been kind of focused on that, but I feel super good. I feel confident. This challenge should tell us a little bit, and see if we can't chase down the big number one. So.
Okay, best of luck. Well done. Well, let's go further down here and see who we can find. See if we can take a look. For Troy Herfoss, I can see the number 17 bike down here. So let's see if we can grab a quick word with Troy. Just looking for him around here. We see the bike. Oh, he is over there. So I'm gonna take a little pop in here. And we have managed to find Troy. We've been trying to find you all weekend. Well, Troy finally got through a complete qualifying session there. First of all, relief emotions, and you worked your way up to P2. How was that?
Yeah, it was a tough day yesterday. All I learned from yesterday was I'm a bad pillion rider, and thank you to Tyler for giving me a lift back twice. And the second thing I learned was you don't want to crash out there. The mosquitoes are so bad. I feel sorry for the flag marshals out there having to deal with that, but I got bitten so much, but I'm okay. We've fixed the bike. The Indian Challenge is working great. The S&S crew had done an amazing job, fixed 2 bikes for me, and not only that, given me a bike that I'm comfortable on. So yeah, just like that, we're there. It's been a struggle all weekend, but just in the nick of time. We're late to the party, but we're here for the party.
Here for the party, but hopefully not for the mosquitoes. I can't believe you're getting those through those leathers as well. As you mentioned, you've had to have that bike rebuilt. What has actually been going on there, and how much confidence does that give you to now get to those places we're used to seeing you in over the rest of the weekend?
Look, I don't want to say it was always going to happen, but when you're coming into a championship as competitive as this on bikes as interesting as these bikes, it's a lot to learn, and it's been a dream run for me, but yesterday was a real reality check for me as a rider to know how quickly these bikes can bite you. And but I've been walked through everything with the team so well, and they've got me back to here and kept me calm. It's a credit to them. I'm hopefully I can repay them with some good results this weekend.
Indeed, and I know we're talking about the bags at the moment, but overall, so many races for you this weekend in Brainerd, because obviously you're stepping in to Superbike as well. How are you getting used to the track? You've never even raced it before, but plenty of races now to get used to things out there.
Yeah, look, like Michael from Tytler's, the owner from Tytler's, and the whole team have been so good to me, taking me in like part of the family. And look, I'm replacing one of the best riders in the world, and there's a lot of expectation, I guess, but they're making me feel very comfortable. I've got a lot to learn, and this morning in Q2 was a little bit frustrating for me. I didn't make a step forward that I thought I would, but hey, the experience has been really enjoyable, and yeah, I just appreciate them guys sort of taking a step back from the dominant rider they've had and working with me and helping me improve and get this amazing experience of riding a superbike in MotoAmerica.
Yeah, indeed, bringing that Aussie experience over to the US. Well, best of luck. We'll see you out there.
Thank you.
And
it's great to see Troy back out there today toward the front there. Good session for him right there in the front row. Shows that experience bouncing back from a tough day yesterday, and the crew did a great job getting that Indian Challenger all set up for him. So it's going to be exciting. He's fighting for that title with Kyle Wyman, and we see those two guys there at the front. So as we come back, we're headed to break. It's going to be the Mission Challenge, a 2-lap shootout for $5 grand. So don't go away. It's one of the most exciting races of the weekend.